Many people think that if they put their bed in a particular Feng Shui wealth area, it can bring in money and prosperity. But even if your bed is sitting in a so-called wealth area, at best, you may just be dreaming about success. If you are sleeping badly, waking up tired, and carrying that tiredness into your work, decisions, and relationships, I would deal with the sleeping position before trying to activate wealth. Hi, I'm Mani. On Pearlora, I will show you what to look for in your home, what it means in Feng Shui, and what you can do about it. Before even look at the wealth area, I will check the bed itself first. Is this actually a good position for you to sleep in every night? Because the thing people worry about most is not always the strongest problem. Sometimes it is something they hardly notice. Let's start with what is behind your head. Ideally, the headboard should sit against a solid wall because that gives the sleeping position stronger support. In Feng Shui, that solid backing is also linked with having support around you in life. So when most of the bed is backed by a large window, traditionally we would see that as weaker backing for the sleeper, including having people around you who can support or help when you need it. But the size of the window changes the judgment. A small window high above the bed, with most of the headboard still against a solid wall, is very different from a floor-to-ceiling window covering almost the whole area behind your pillow. The second situation gives the sleeper much less solid backing, so I would take it more seriously. Imagine a small apartment where one wall is taken up by wardrobe, another has the bedroom door, and once you put a queen-size bed inside, the only practical place left is under the window. In that situation, I would not immediately say, window behind the bed, bad Feng Shui, move it. I will first look at how much solid backing you actually have. With so little solid backing behind the bed, I will take Feng Shui concern about support more seriously. If you have another suitable wall, moving the bed is the cleanest solution. But if this really is the only workable position, use a solid headboard and close curtains or blinds at night so the area behind your head feels more enclosed. A realistic first collection is better than forcing the bed onto another wall that creates an even worse problem. While you're checking behind the headboard, look above it as well. Sometimes the air conditioning unit ends up directly over the bed simply because that was the easiest place to install it. If the unit sits directly above your head, I would avoid that position if can, especially when the cold air is also blowing towards your face and shoulders. Beside the cold draft, you also have a large object pressing over the sleeping position. I would associate this more with disturbed rest, tiredness, and pressure than with wealth. And if the air is already waking you up, making you pull the blanket higher or causing you to keep changing position, you do not need a complicated Feng Shui explanation. The room is already showing you that this position is not helping you rest. Move the bed away from directly underneath the unit if possible, or at least redirect the airflow and keep your pillow away from the strongest draft. Now look at what is directly in front of your bed, because this is where mirrors, mirror wardrobe, and even television screens can become a problem. Think about staying in a hotel. Very often, the television is directly in front of the bed. During the day, you probably do not notice anything strange. But once the room is completely dark, that black screen becomes refractive. Then maybe you wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning, still half asleep, and for 1 second you see a dark figure in front of you. Your heart jumps and then you realize, oh, that's me. The same thing can happen at home when a large mirror or glossy wardrobe is directly facing your bed. In Feng Shui, we want the bedroom to settle down at night. A large mirror reflecting you all night can make the sleeping area too active, so it is traditionally linked with more restless sleep and unsettled emotions. In a couple's bedroom, some Feng Shui teachings also associate this with more relation tension. So when you check a bedroom mirror, do not judge it from bedroom entrance. Lie down where you normally sleep and see what the mirror is actually reflecting. If you can see clearly yourself, your face, or most of the mattress, then I would pay attention to that placement. Now compare that with a mirror on the side wall that reflects only a blank wall or a small corner of the blanket. Both rooms have the mirror, but only one is really holding the slipper in the reflection. This is where beginners often get caught. They see a mirror in bedroom and stop there, but what matters is what the mirror is reflecting from the bed. If the mirror is movable, change the angle or move it somewhere else. If it is built-in mirrored wardrobe, cover the reflective surface at night or test it for a few nights before making any permanent change. If this is helping you look at your bedroom differently, subscribe Pearlora. I'll keep showing you which details actually change the Feng Shui judgment. Next, stand beside the bed and look directly above the mattress. If there is an exposed ceiling beam, look at where that beam actually falls. A small beam high near the edge of the room is very different from a thick, low beam running directly across your pillow, chest, or the middle of the mattress. When the beam is low, heavy, and directly over your body, that creates a much stronger downward pressure over the sleeping position. Traditionally, heavy beam directly over the sleeper is associated with disturbed rest, greater health vulnerability, and more pressure in work or daily life. The important part is where it falls. A beam somewhere in the bedroom may not be your priority. A thick beam cutting across the exact place where your head or your upper body rests every night is a different matter, and I will put that much higher on the correction list. The best solution is to move the bed out from the underneath that line. Sometimes even a small shift is enough to take your head or upper body out from directly under the beam. If renovation is possible, creating a more even ceiling is another option. What I would not do is hang more objects from the beam and call that a remedy. Now let's look at the bedroom door, because this is where a lot of people get confused. Someone hears your bed should not face the door, then goes home, lies down, see the bedroom entrance and immediately thinks the bed has terrible feng shui. But simply being able to see the door is not the problem. What I want to know is whether the doorway is pointing straight into the sleeping position. Stand at the bedroom entrance and follow the line coming into the room. If that line goes straight towards the foot of the bed or direct across the place where your body lies, then the bed is sitting much more directly in the path movement entering the room. Think of the difference between sleeping in a protected corner and sleeping at the end of the passageway. When someone opens the door, walks in, switches on the light, and comes back late at night, the bed at the end of the line receives the activity first. If the bed is shifted clearly to one side, you can still see the door without sitting directly in the path. Distance matters here as well. A bed only a few steps away from a busy doorway feels much more exposed than one sitting farther inside the room. If your bed is very close and directly aligned with the door, move it out of that line if you can. In a small bedroom, even shifting the bed slightly to one side may be enough. And I would be careful with using a big divider as the solution. Imagine putting a screen beside the bed, then every morning you have to turn sideways to squeeze past it, you knock into while making the bed, and suddenly the whole room feels cramped. You may have corrected one feng shui issue and created a daily problem that irritates you twice a day. That is not an improvement. That same logic applies to an attached bathroom door. I would pay more attention when it is very close, points towards your head or body. If it sits well off the side, it is much lower priority. If it is close and direct, create as much offset as the room allows. Keep the bathroom door closed when it is not in use, and keep the bathroom clean, dry, and well ventilated. Most bedrooms will have more than one issue, so now we need to decide what comes first. You may have a small window behind the headboard, a mirrored wardrobe across the room, and a doorway not far from the bed. That does not mean all three deserve the same attention. Imagine one bedroom where the mirror is far away and reflects only a small corner of the blanket, but there is a very low beam directly over the pillow. I would deal with the beam first. If another bedroom, there may be a small high window above a strong headboard, but the bed is sitting exactly in the path of a busy doorway only a few steps away. Then the doorway becomes the priority. This is where people can spend a lot of effort on feng shui and still miss the strongest problem. They cover a small mirror, move decorations and add remedies, while the biggest pressure around the bed stays exactly where it was. The useful question is not how many Feng Shui problems do I have. It is, which one is affecting my sleeping position most directly? Think of it like a bucket with a leak. There is a very little point pouring more water into the top while ignoring the largest hole near the bottom. In the same way, I will not rush to activate valve while the basic sleeping position still has a strong Feng Shui problem. Deal with the leak first. And that is why I will not move a bed into a so-called valve area without checking the actual sleeping position first. If the so-called valve area gives you a worse sleeping position, I will not choose it. If that room keeps disturbing your rest, that tiredness follows you into work and daily life. A valve area does not cancel out a poor sleeping position. So tonight, check your bedroom from your pillow. Lie down the way you normally sleep, notice what is affecting you most, and start with that. And if you check your bedroom tonight, tell me in the comments which one you found first. The window, mirror, beam or door. I would be interested to see which problem appears most often in real bedrooms. I see you in the next video. Bye.